Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. Today, I'm going to be making my NBA All-Star picks right now. This isn't going to be a video predicting the NBA All-Star team when it comes around in February. I'm predicting right now if they said, Cone, pick the NBA All-Star teams. These are the guys that I would put on each roster. I do want to preface this video with saying that it is ridiculously tough to pick an All-Star roster with only 12 spots. There are so many great players in the NBA. I personally think they should expand the roster to 13, 14, or even 15, but they haven't done that, so here I am trying to squeeze a million great players into 12 roster spots. There are going to be some very notable snubs, and we will talk about those, but this is just right now. I will explain some of the snubs. There are some guys who could definitely make a case in the next couple months. We'll get into all of that in a second, but I have this pool of players. This is not every player that can make the All-Star game. This is just kind of the guys that came to mind when I was thinking about it. I'm sure there are guys I missed in this pool, so don't hate on me if I don't make the same picks that you might make. If there is someone that I snubbed, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. Helps the channel out a lot. So, going to go ahead and start with each team's starters and then each conference's reserves. So, starting off with the starters in the Western Conference, of course, Steph Curry is going to be the starting point guard. I don't think anyone's going to argue that with me. He's an MVP frontrunner, and he is leading the Warriors to one of the best records in the NBA. Alongside him in the backcourt, I picked Chris Paul. Devon Booker has missed some time, and in that time, Chris Paul has continued to be masterful, just orchestrating everything perfectly for the Phoenix Suns. He's a winning player, and I think he's played well enough to earn that starting spot next to Steph on the Western Conference All-Star team. Next to them, in the front court, I have LeBron James at the small forward. He's LeBron James. I don't think I have to explain to you why LeBron is an all-star, but I will. He's been phenomenal. He's been the best player in the Lakers so far this season, despite having a mediocre record to compare to what they wanted to be at. LeBron has been amazing, and I think he's 100% deserving of a starting spot. Next to him as well in the front court is Paul George. Paul George, when healthy, has been one of the best players in the NBA. He has dealt with some injuries, so that could maybe take him out of this spot, but I respect what Paul George has been doing when he's healthy, and so I'm going to keep him here for now. And finally, at the starting center position, there's no question about this. It's Nicole Jokic, top 3 MVP candidate, MVP last year. He continues to dominate at the big man position in the Western Conference. So, those are my Western Conference starters. I don't think they're too controversial. Maybe you could switch out Chris Paul for someone else, but I like this roster. This is what I went with. Next, over in the Eastern Conference, also, if you see me looking over here on this side, that's where I have my list up on my phone, so don't question that. For my All-Star starters, I have Trae Young at the point guard position. He has really kind of destroyed the narratives that he relied on foul baiting. They made the new rules to kind of get rid of that, and Trae Young is playing still the best basketball of his career. Next to him in the backcourt, we have Demar Derozan, if I can find him. Some of the guys are not wearing the same jerseys that they wear typically because of, this is like an older list. So DeMar DeRozan, as you can see, is in a Spurs jersey. It might take me a second to find some of these guys, but DeRozan has played like an MVP candidate. He's been one of the best acquisitions of the offseason, 100% deserving of a starting spot. Next to him in the front court is Kevin Durant. It's Kevin Durant. I don't need to say much more. Giannis Antetokounmpo at the 4 continues to play amazing coming off that finals run. Him and the Bucks are really finding their groove now that they've gotten healthier. And finally, at the center position, Joel Embiid, once again, like Nicole Jokic, a no-doubter. These are the 2 best centers in the league, and Embiid has dominated last night, dropping 41 against the Celtics, been the best clutch player in the league, 100% deserving of an all-star starter spot. So, those are my starters in each conference. You can debate whether or not you want this guy to start, that guy to start, whatever. This is what I went with. Now, where it really gets tough is the reserves. We're going to start with the Western Conference. The first reserve that kind of comes to mind. So the way it works, if you don't know, is in the reserves, it is 2 guards, 3 front court members, and then you have 2 kind of wild cards for whatever position. So, starting off with the guards, I have Luka Doncic. Luka has been phenomenal. Even if the Mavericks aren't performing super well, Luka has been incredible, and he is 100% deserving of a spot on this All-Star team. Then you also have to throw in wherever he's at, Donovan Mitchell, there he is, next to Luka Doncic as another reserve guard. He's once again been phenomenal. He's really finding his stride, especially recently, despite struggling earlier to start the season. Donovan Mitchell has been amazing. The Jazz are a pretty good team, and he deserves to be here. At the 3 spot, or another front court member, it's tough. I have Draymond Green. He's a guy that definitely, I think, deserves to be on this list. He's been my defensive player of the year so far this year. The Warriors have been good enough to deserve 2 All-Stars, and so I think Draymond Green ends up on this list. Another front court member, I'm going to put Karl Anthony Towns. He is going to be their backup center. He has shown everyone. I feel like Cat was the guy that was kind of slept on coming into this season, and he's played so phenomenally well. I'm happy to say that he's back on my All-Star team. And finally, in another front court position, I have DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray is a guy that I strongly believe deserves a lot of consideration for this. He has been phenomenal. He's averaging around 19, 9, and 9. He's almost a walking triple-double most nights. He's been so good. He's been efficient. He's playing lockdown defense. DeJounte Murray, in my opinion, deserves to be on here. And this is where it gets really tough. We've got 2 spots left. I think one of them has to go to Ja Morant. Ja Morant, he's been hurt. So that could kind of take away a little bit because he's missed some time. So maybe you don't want to put him on this list because he's hurt. 100% understand that. But I do think Ja Morant, when healthy, has been good enough to make this team. And finally, I have Rudy Gobert. Gobert playing once again like a defensive player of the year candidate. He's locks up at the center position, and he's a big reason why the Jazz are so good. Now, when you look at this Western Conference team, you might notice some big names are missing, namely Damien Lillard. And as well as Devon Booker is not on this list, CJ McCollum, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Brandon Ingram. There are a lot of really good players that aren't on here. Of course, I think the biggest one is Damian Lillard. I think Dame's going to be, if I made this video a week later, I think Dame ends up on this list. Just the way that he's kind of struggled to start the year. Now he really is finding his stride. He's getting back to the Dame that we all know. Dame is going to make the All-Star game. I'm not saying that he's not going to make the All-Star game, but right now, I kind of want to give DeJounte Murray was the guy that I was kind of back and forth on, but I do think DeJounte Murray deserves some of that recognition, so I put him on this list. Damian Lillard might take that spot in like a week, but for right now, he isn't on my list. You might hate me in the comment section since I didn't put Dame on here, but that's just kind of the way I'm looking at it. Also, they've really been disappointing so far this year, which is another thing I took into account. Devon Booker doesn't make it. I just don't know if I could put him over like a Ja or a Donovan Mitchell or a Luka Doncic. You also have Anthony Edwards who didn't make it. He's been great. He could make it. Anthony Davis doesn't make it. Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't make it as much as I want to put him on this list. Right now, we have the worst record in the Western Conference, and there are just so many great players. At this moment, I don't know if he gets it. I still believe he will make that case for himself over this next month or so, but for right now, he didn't make the list. It's tough. As you can see, there are a lot of names I could have put on this list, but this is what I went with. If you can 100% disagree, let me know in the comment section below. It's hard. There are a lot of snubs. This is what I went with for right now. Eastern Conference reserves. We've got Zach Levine, the Bulls, deserving of 2 All-Stars. Zach Levine has been phenomenal in Demar Derozan's absence, and just over the course of this season, Levine is really, really good. He's made a case to be considered one of, if not the best shooting guards in the NBA. Then you've got James Harden. Even though he struggled, he's still playing pretty solid. He's a big reason why the Nets are where they are right now, alongside Kevin Durant, of course. Then you've got Jimmy Butler. He's got to be on this list. He's playing some of the best basketball of his career. When he's healthy, you have Jason Tatum, who, although he has been struggling, I still think he's deserving of an all-star spot. And finally, I have Jarrett Allen at the center position for the backup. Jarrett Allen has been super special, and the way that the Cavs have been playing, they deserve an all-star. I think he's the guy that would probably get the nod, just because there are a lot of really good guards, which kind of makes it hard to put Darius Garland in here. And Evan Mobley as a rookie, I think it's just hard to put him over Jarrett Allen. They typically don't put rookies in the All-Star game, so I went with Jarrett Allen. You could put Garland or Evan Mobley. As you can see, by the way, Garland is not in this little pool I have down here. I just didn't see him on this list down below. He is a guy that I do think is a snub. Finally, on this list, I have Fred VanVleet. The way that he's played for the Raptors, being probably their best player so far this season. He's been great. He's been clutch. He's hitting shots at a ridiculous rate. Yeah, I just like Fred VanVleet's game. I think he's doing a good job. And finally, I have Jalen Brown. He has missed some time, so that is something you could take into account, but I decided to put him on this list. Notable snubs in the Eastern Conference. No Bradley Beal. He just hasn't played very well. You've got LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, 2 guys on a Hornets team that has been kind of impressing. I just didn't know if I could justify putting them over any of these guys. You can make a case over Fred VanVleet for either a LaMelo or a Miles Bridges because of the way that they've been playing. I think that's 100% something that you could do. You've got Domantas Sabonis. Bam Adebayo is another name I really wanted to put on here. You could also put him over Fred VanVleet. Now that I'm kind of looking at it, maybe I do want to put him over Fred VanVleet. But I won't change the list. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, also names that you could consider. Yeah, So these are my all-star teams at this moment in the season. This could change literally tomorrow. I kind of go back and forth on this every day. This is just right now, before I sat down to make this video, who at the moment do I see as an NBA All-Star? These are the lists that I made. Let me know who your biggest snubs were from my list. If you disagree with someone, let me know who you would replace them with. I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I will see you all later. Real one, say it back.